From Chesapeake, Virginia, WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
All right, thank you very much, Joe Daniel, on this June 7th, kind of overcast day as we get ready for summer right here in Hampton Roads. Sports Scene, we're live as always. Sports Scene is an interview show every Wednesday from 12 to 1. Also, Sports Highlights, the TV show I host on nnpstv.com. Tell your friends about 1650 AM and 92.5 FM. We're also online on tunein.com by typing in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. We're also on 1650theanswer.com. Twitter, at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV, and HROnline.com. Thank you to our military. Great guest lineup. Chuck Hall, the general manager of Langley Speedway, will join us momentarily. Sponsors on GJBTV.com, as well as the guest lineup presented by Mi Casita Mexican Restaurant with 2 great locations in Virginia Beach. Phone line presented by Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. I am off next week. Rick Kiefner, who's sitting here today, will fill in for me for Sports Scene next week from the Old Dominion Radio Network. Again, Rick Kiefner will fill in next week from 12 to 1 on Sports Scene. Sponsors in June, Crawl Space Stores, Mi Hogar Spaghetti-Etties, and also special kudos to Joe Daniel, what he does each and every week for producing the show. NBA Finals in full swing. Cavaliers are in trouble. Major League Baseball, Orioles and Nationals playing very well, not too far from the U.S. Open Golf Tournament. Dr. Mary V. Bicouvaris Memorial Tennis Tournament coming up July 13th at 5 o'clock at the James River Country Club in Newport News. We're all about great interviews, business segments. We are live as always. Highlights, commentary, what tees me off. Thank you for making the habit to listen to Sports Scene each week, and we love our regulars and newcomers as well. Stay tuned. Chuck Hall will talk all things NASCAR and Langley Speedway after these messages.
Mi Hogar is your restaurant for the finest Mexican cuisine in Hampton Roads. At Mi Hogar, everything is prepared fresh in a casual atmosphere. Enjoy traditional favorites such as quesadillas, tacos, burritos, and fajitas, as well as refreshing beverages. Mi Hogar has 2 locations, 4201 Granby Street in Norfolk and 801 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Call ahead at 640-7705. At Mi Hogar, there is something for everyone.
People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti-Etties. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, this fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEttiesPizzaCafe.com.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to GJBTV.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
All right, this summer in Miami, the biggest and brightest stars in the game come together for one night. It's the 2017 Major League Baseball All-Star Game live from Marlins Park. Tune in July 11th at 7:30 p.m. only on Fox. I was with Fox this past weekend at the Orioles Red Sox game. Of course, Fox is all about NASCAR, and of course that segues into our guest right here, good friend of the program, been on several radio and TV shows that I've hosted. He's owned radio stations, he's leased radio stations, he's done PR at Langley Speedway. General Manager Chuck Hall, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, Greg, great to talk to you again.
You too. Give us a lay of the land, first of all, before we talk about last year, the first couple of months of the Speedway. I know you had the Richmond race one weekend, but let's talk about how it's been with the idle weeks and the fan participation.
You know, we were shut down for about 15 months in order to Bill Mullis working very hard to actually retain an ownership of the Speedway, and he made an announcement February 17th of this year, and, man, all wheels started moving at that point, and we had to reopen Langley after a 15-month hiatus, and we opened on April 1st, probably one of the biggest crowds I've ever seen here. This year has been an incredible year. It's been a weather-related year, and I remember in the past, I've been here on and off for 22 years. I remember one year we had 13 rainouts because of rain. We've had 2 this year, but we've had a lot of rain this year. And but last week was probably the first week I didn't have to watch radar on a Thursday and a Friday, and the crowd was great. So if the fans have the opportunity and the weather is good, they're going to be at Langley Speedway. We're excited about that.
I mean, look at today's weather for June. I mean, you can't tell whether it's fall, spring, summer, or winter outside. It's just kind of wacky. And, of course, you've had the wacky Wednesdays before. But like you said, a big thing for you is once a week, you got to keep an eye on weather.com.
Well, actually, we do have Wacky Wednesday tonight, and the weather is going to be overcast, no chance of rain. We'll pack the stands. It's amazing. But and these kids that come to Wacky Wednesday, everyone's got an app. They go on there and check the weather. They're probably meteorologists as well. But Wacky Wednesday's doing very well, and then it'll kick into a mode normally on Thursday or Friday, looking at radar again. But this weekend looks beautiful again. So I know a lot of things happening in the marketplace, and racing's going to be hot this weekend. And summer is 2 weeks away from today, I think. So, and we're going to be in the 90s here on the weekend. So weather has a lot to do with it. But fortunately, what I'm seeing here, Greg, is people are coming back that were regulars at Langley. We're getting a lot of people that haven't been here in years. And because of the fact that it had shut down for 15 months, they want to revisit some old stomping grounds, see some friends. And we're also getting a lot of new people that have never been to Langley, heard so much about it, and coming out and trying it. And we have a lot of military presence here and families, and it's really been amazing to watch.
We're talking to Chuck Hall from Langley Speedway. Chuck, tell the fans where you're located at and the price of admission and the times the races start.
Absolutely. You can get the information at langley-speedway.com. We are located across the street from NASA and Hampton at 11 Dell Lemons Drive. You can put that on your GPS. Easy to get to here off the interstate. Our admission is $12 for adults, $10 for military, and little race fans under 5 get in free. And we do have a family 4-pack, so mom and dad and all the kids can come in for $30.
Outstanding. Saw where Richmond next year is changing their date back to a night race. What is your thoughts on the health of NASCAR, the attendance overall around the country? Of course, NASCAR is a very long season.
It is a long season, and NASCAR, I think NASCAR continues to make efforts to bring that attention back. You got to realize that racing Langley is very successful. We're in a good market. We have a city that believes in what we're doing. We have a great fan base. We have great drivers. We have great racing. And NASCAR, I think they're at a point now where, it's like all major sports. They go through a peak period. They'll downslide somewhat, and then some way it'll find its way resurging again. When you see some of these tracks that, Richmond had 30,000 people in 60,000 seats. And so I think the tracks and NASCAR are looking at that and trying to decide how do we do that. I think NASCAR needs to go capture more of a younger audience and bring those kids back into racing. And I mean, it's a challenge. It really is. And when you look at some of the NFL teams, and you go to these stadiums, some are sold out every week. Some, you you have enough room to have a flea market sale or something. But I think it's something that I think it helps the sport when they go through these periods. And I think when Earnhardt passed away in 2000, or 2001 rather, it picked back up because he brought so much attention because, unfortunately, his death. But people recognized the name and they just couldn't believe it. But I think NASCAR it might be kind of leveling out now, and I think they're trying to decide how to make that peak go back up. We're doing great on the short track scene, but you got to decide: is it the cost of a cup ticket? Is it the people are not spending money right now because everyone's waiting and see what happens? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
And you're very generous, too. You don't race when Richmond races. You've always kept that model even before you were idle last year. And you mentioned the NFL. Donnie Tuck, who's the mayor of Hampton, who's so beneficial in working with you and Mr. Mullis and the city council. He was the Redskins PR director 30 years ago in 1987. So it shows you how full circle life becomes. It's really who you know in this business that we're all in, this crazy media and sports business that we're in. He's now the mayor of Hampton. So it really is just everything comes full circle. Let me ask you this time a year ago, what was the low moment for you? I mean, it was tough because you had a radio station there. You were looking out your window. I've done shows there as well. You used to host a show here on 1650 as well. Looking out the window and seeing an idle track with grass growing out of the cement, I think a lot of credit goes to you and Bill for keeping the spirit and the hope alive. How did you do it?
It was not an easy task. Bill and I are great friends. We're friends before, I'm his employee. We're friends first. And I think knowing that, I was here and he was working hard behind the scenes, a lot of things occurred people could not even imagine in negotiations and talks and this and that. But it was difficult to come to a racetrack that I've been here since '95. I love this place, and my wife calls it my second home. And it was disheartening. And when you see something, it would be like you having a '66 Ford Mustang that you worked on and shined and put new tires on, and then it's there and you can't touch it, and it's just falling apart. It was really hard to do, but Bill would encourage me, or I would encourage Bill, and it was that friendship, I think, between the two of us that helped get us through this thing, and having you on the show and having the radio station going, and that kept me busy and somewhat, and so I'm glad we stuck it out. I'm glad where Langley is today, and I'm really grateful to all the fans and sponsors and all the drivers and crew members that make this work every Saturday.
This is Sports Scene right here on 92.5 FM, 1650 AM, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your device, on your phone, or your computer. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us right here talking to our good friend Chuck Hall from Langley Speedway. And really, Chuck, there's something for everyone. You guys make it so fan inclusive on Saturdays. The kids love it, the adults love it, and the senior citizens do as well.
Yeah, and something new we added this year, a fan zone. We have great bands from all over Hampton Roads that perform out here every Saturday from 5 to 6:30. We have the Boogity Boogity Bus for the kids, which is a revamped high-horsepowered hot rod school bus that we just jam kids in, take them around the track. They love that. Giveaways, prizes, great sponsors giving away things to the fans, great pricing in our concessions. And, putting all that together, it is a family environment. And one of the things we've done this year is we're really going to take on making Langley Speedway a multifunctional facility, in as much working with the Bay Days Committee and bringing Bay Days back as we did Langley Speedway, and have that huge event here at Langley Speedway.
What I like about that idea is you got the stands already. People can get their food. They can come and sit down, because think about it. The way Bay Days was before, they were idle. There was no place to sit down and eat. Now they can take their barbecue or hamburger wherever, and their soda or beverage, adult beverage, and actually sit down, relax, listen to some music, and enjoy the ambiance as well.
Yeah, and they're going to have a lot more in terms of food this year, a lot more vendors. They're going to have things for the kids, music, and the most important thing, and what the naysayers, when it was first announced, people were saying, well, it's not by the bay. I remember going to Bay Days. I don't ever remember seeing water. I didn't go down to the water. I went to Bay Days. But
right.
You can promote the bay and how to save the bay and work on the bay and bring the bay to life. You could do that anywhere. If that mentality stuck with everybody, churches would be built right next to bars every time. So sometimes it's not where you're at. It's what the message is, and the Bay Days has a great message in utilizing Langley Speedway with a larger footprint than they may have had downtown Hampton, and again, providing some more comforts. I think it's going to be a great event.
Talking to Chuck Hall. Chuck, talked about some of the drivers that have stood out this year and what they did last year. A lot of them went to different tracks, but talk about some of the names that have stood out in 2017 and the crew chiefs.
Well, first off, I got to tell you, the drivers, we had a few that went on the road last year, and they wanted to get that racing fix on, did very well outside the gates here at Langley. A lot of the drivers didn't go anywhere. They were standing by with hopes that Langley would open. And then they all came back together, and the racing has been incredible. I mean, Greg Edwards came in and took off as he had done in the last season, 2015, was very strong. Now he's had trouble the last few weeks. Matt Waltz is now our points leader. I got to tell you, Greg, Langley is a bull ring. And to go too wide here is a heck of a race. Saturday night we saw 3 wide racing at Langley Speedway. These guys and gals want to win a race, and they want to do it here at Langley this year, and they've been very competitive. And you talk about Mark Wirtz running up front there, and all these drivers. And then this weekend we have the modifieds, and you got Robbie Babb, who's got a fast hot rod, and Chris Sumlett and his dad, and Sean Beluzzo and Bobby Gary. All these guys fighting to win a race here at Langley Speedway because they know it's important. You got a large crowd. They've got sponsors they've got to take care of, and they're out here. They're competitive, and they're aggressive, and it makes for great racing at a Saturday night short track.
Yeah, we're coming out there July 8th to tape our show for August. Looking forward to that at Langley Speedway for sports highlights.
So is it true you're going to drive a car?
Yeah, right. Maybe in the back seat, Chuck, with an extra double seatbelt on as well. But let's talk about some other amenities going on at Langley Speedway. How does the big 3 months for you always got to be June, July, August? So right now you're in your prime season right now.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, July 1st we have fireworks this year, and we have the Virginia Sprint cars coming, and it's going to be a super show, and that's going to be like opening night. Our Hampton Heat, it will probably duplicate our opening night in attendance, and it always has been a big barn burner for us. That's going to be July 22nd. August, the racing is going to be incredible as they lead into that championship month of September. September 2nd, of course, is the K&N, NASCAR K&N Touring Series. That will be here on September 2nd. And then, as we alluded to, the Bay Days, Racing to the Bay, is going to be occurring the Richmond weekend, and that's going to be September 9th and 10th.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about NASCAR, it's so part of television. You look how Fox does it for the first half of the season with the Daytona 500, the Richmond race, Talladega. Then, of course, NBC takes over. Do you like how it's dual network split like that for exposure, or would you rather have just one consistent network? Because, the NFL's got different networks, the NBA does, so I guess why not NASCAR?
Well, when you look at the NFL, I mean, the Redskins generally are a Fox broadcast for the NFC, and I kind of like it when the Redskins play Monday night because you get a different perspective. If you put a former Cowboy quarterback during the Redskin games, not a big fan of that, but Troy's a great guy, but you get a different perspective, and I think with Fox in the first half of the year, NBC. And they both have really elevated racing to what their coverage is and what it's all about and the technology. And they always add something different. So it's pretty cool to watch, half of the season. I personally think NASCAR the season is too long. But so it's good to break it up right there in the middle.
Yeah, I think really the tough months are September, October, November when they're competing against college football, the NFL, right. even the NBA a little bit, and, of course, Major League Baseball postseason. That's a lot of competition. Right now, it's pretty much just them and baseball. That's it. So they've got lay of the land. And the good thing that, to me, NASCAR will always be relevant is it's once a week. It's in different cities around the country. It's not the good old South anymore. It's all over. They're in California. They're in Texas. They're just growing by leaps and bounds, and they're always proactive with their schedule. And just like their schedule is good, you've had such history of racers here, too. We've had Ricky Rudd from this area, from Chesapeake, who's done well at NASCAR, and you've had equal amount of racers perform at Langley over the decades.
Yeah, Chase Elliott, of course, raced here in the K&N Series. Kyle Larson, who's hot right now in the Cup Series. Kyle Larson, the first time he ever set foot in a full-body stock car was here at Langley Speedway for the Drive for Diversity program combine. Denny Hamlin, he won a championship here in '97 in many stocks. Jimmy Johnson raced here in the ASA race. So there's just a number of drivers that have come through Langley or raced at Langley or participated in some regard here, and that's pretty cool.
Absolutely, of course. Really, there's something for everyone. Free parking, too, right, Chuck?
Free parking, absolutely.
Yeah, and of course you promote yourselves a lot on social media, and I guess that was good. The good thing about social media is you can promote your next event, keep the fans posted on rainouts, but the negative thing is last year you fielded so many questions, it's almost like the kid in the back seat, are we there yet, are we there yet, are we there yet? How grueling was that for you to answer it pretty much every week? Because some of the information you kind of knew but just couldn't release to the public.
Well, we did sign a confidentiality agreement when the process started, and again, it was tough not being able to kind of reach out and tell somebody what was going on. And I know several times you had asked me, and we're great friends, and I just could not discuss with anybody where we were and the measurements of where we were going. And, it was difficult, it was. But one of the things I did notice that while we were shut down and Langley was not operational, Bill Mullis had a lot of support. The racetrack had a lot of support, and that's important to us. I mean, that lets you know that people are still out there saying, "Hey, you guys are working hard. Go get it. We'll support you," and they have done that.
Right. I mean, it's not like you've missed any time at all. The fans have been great. Talk about some of the people that work behind the scenes that have been part of Langley's family for years. You've had volunteers and employees both.
Absolutely. We brought in administratively Curtis Hughes, who was with us. He graduated from, what was the name of the school again? Bridgewater. Yeah, he was a lacrosse star there, and he's working with us here. Terry Beluzzo in the main office, Chief Leach, our Director of Maintenance, Tracy Smith, bookkeeping, Robin down in the ticket office, Skip Kane, who does the redneck fries. And if you have never had a redneck fry, I will buy them for you. Just don't tell your doctor. And then, there's just so many people here. People don't realize that Langley, in order to open this track up, it takes approximately nearly 70 people on a Saturday to make this thing go.
Right. All right, Chuck, go ahead and plug what's going on this weekend and any social media you want to as well.
Absolutely. You can become a friend. We have a Wacky Wednesday Facebook page or Langley Speedway page. Also, get all the information at langley-speedway.com. This weekend, 9 races. The rainouts we had the Twin Outer Modifieds or Grand Stocks this weekend. We're going to have the Super Trucks, U-Cars, Legends, Bandos, and the Enduros. So 9 races. The ticket price does not increase, just the excitement.
Chuck, all the best to you, my friend. We look forward to seeing you very soon. Look forward to doing our TV taping next month, and all the best of health to you and your wife and your wonderful family and the Langley family as well.
Thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Chuck Hall, the general manager of Langley Speedway. And don't forget, golf lovers, beginning June 15th, the greatest players in the world descend upon Erin Hills for one of golf's most anticipated events of the year. The 2017 U.S. Open, Jason Day, Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy are primed to tame golf's ultimate test and be crowned America's champion. The 117th U.S. Open begins June 15th on Fox, FS1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go, as well as Dustin Johnson as well. Music is great, but it's a little loud for me right now. But also, Rick Kiefer will be filling in next week on Sports Scene. Don't forget to tune in for that. We got Ian Locke from the Tides coming up. We have a lot of great stuff going on Sports Scene, all powered by Caponara Asian Cuisine. Give them a call at 369-8808. Delicious Asian food can be found in Denby at 14501 Warwick Boulevard. Dine in and carry out great Asian food at Caponara in Newport News. Stand by for the news.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, thank you very much, Joe Daniel. Joe Daniel is also working on some promos, liners, and openings for our new client starting in September. We're excited, Joe Daniel, get on the mic for that as well. For Stratford Today, it'll be a show about academics, athletics, and activities about Stratford University, giving people a chance to go to school locally, learn a craft, also sports for men and women both, and they'll have a culinary school too. Should be a really good show, as in July, my show will move to 1 to 2. It's still going to be 12 to 1 for the time being. They'll be on 2 to 3, but that should be a very interesting show for the midweek audience.
I agree. It sounds like I met with Chris Sawyer, who's actually the host of the show, and he seems like a really smart guy and really passionate about Stratford University, so I'm really looking forward to the information that he's going to be sharing with us.
Right. We had him on Sports Highlights, my TV show, and they came on here. Him and Al came on here on Sports Scene as well. Of course, this is Sports Scene. GJBTV.com. Click the YouTube link for archive shows. Save the date each Wednesday from 12 to 1 for Sports Scene. And, of course, all powered by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit, bookmark it. HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Marketplace, restaurants, retail services. All you tourists out there driving, just go to HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. You'll find a place to eat. You'll find a service, whatever you need. Hope you enjoyed. Chuck Hall from Langley Speedway. Again, Rick Kiefner from the Old Dominion Radio Network will fill in for me next week from 12 to 1. Rick's going to leave so early, he'll be here probably on Tuesday. He's so conscientious about doing the show as well. All right, of course, before we talk to Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides, all powered by Buffalo Wild Wings in Newport News at 12150 Jefferson Avenue. Give them a call at 249-3999. Go by and see Paul and their friendly staff. They've got delicious lunch specials as well at Buffalo Wild Wings. Boneless traditional wings, all types of sauces, tenders and mores, shareables. They got great burgers. They've got tacos, great appetizers, wraps, sandwiches, salads, a kids menu, excellent beverages, wall-to-wall TVs as well at Buffalo Wild Wings. They cater to large crowds as well. And, of course, they always give back to the community, too, at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Go by the Newport News location. Enjoy your next meal. Take Dad to Father's Day at Buffalo Wild Wings in Newport News. Go by and get a burger, too. They're really good. All right, let's welcome from the Norfolk Tides, our regular weekly segment, Ian Locke from the Media Relations Department. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Greg. How are you?
Very good. How's your Wednesday going, and what's next up for the Tides?
Wednesday's going great. Tides are actually playing a road game as we speak right now in Gwinnett. So that would be going better if we got a win here, but I think we're losing early 1-0 in the second inning down there. But if we win today in Gwinnett, it'll be the first time we've swept a 3-game set in that stadium since 2009. So hoping for a good performance today and get another W and a happy bus trip up to Durham if we win today.
All right. As you know, I was working the Orioles game last Saturday, seeing all the former Tides there in Baltimore, including Mancini. They've played solid. They got a nice win last night, but it's really interesting to see the dynamic of Tides players going to Baltimore, and you're always sending out press releases about it.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how many people go up and down. Kind of Baltimore views us as almost like an extended bench. So if you ever go out to a Tides game, there's a great chance you're going to see someone who's going to be playing with the Orioles within the next week. In fact, I saw it reported today. I haven't seen it officially from the Orioles yet, but I know the Baltimore Sun and Masson have reported that Edwin Jackson, who was a pitcher with the Tides this year, is supposedly getting called up. I haven't heard that. I saw that on the news, and Pete Misty, who's with the team in Gwinnett, said the same thing. So that's another player. I think that'll be the 15th different player to appear for both the Tides and the Orioles in a game this year. So you never know who's going to be, playing at Harbor Park one day and suiting up in an Orioles uniform at Camden Yards the next.
Talk about your next homestand. Of course, you had a big past weekend with Star Wars, and somebody got married, right?
Yeah, that was weird. That's the second wedding we've had at Harbor Park. The first one was at the AAA All-Star Game when Benny Agbayani, the outfielder for the New York Mets, got married at home plate. But we had a couple really big Star Wars fans who decided to get married at home plate at Harbor Park on Saturday night, and they were surrounded by their closest Star Wars friends, including Darth Vader, who oversaw the whole ceremony, which was kind of a neat, quirky minor league experience, that's for sure. So, but we ended up having a little over 11,000 people for a game on Saturday night, which was a great turnout, fireworks and everything. So that was great. And Tides come back into town on Tuesday night. We start up a 6-game homestand. We're home for 3 games against the Indianapolis Indians, which is the Pirates affiliate, and then we're home for 3 more after that against Louisville, which is the Reds affiliate. The big game next week, Saturday night, is Marine Corps night, which is going to have a post-game fireworks show as well. So always something going on at Harbor Park, and we hope to see lots of people out there next week.
Talk about the lay of the land for the management there now. Of course, Mr. Rosenfield passed away, and he was the longtime general manager. Of course, he has not been the general manager for several years, but even you picked up some of his duties. I know Ben has, and Joe, and even some of the other girls in the front office staff. It's pretty much, of course, Joe is handling things day to day. Joe's got more time because he's not involved with the Admirals, but pretty much, I think you had mentioned a lot of you are picking in for what some of the stuff that he used to do. Is that correct?
Yeah, we all had to kind of pick up a little extra slack. I mean, Dave had had worked for the Tides as a GM for 55 years. He worked for the team, and the last couple of years, he had limited a little bit of what he had been doing for sure. But he still did a lot of stuff, and there's a whole lot of things that from accounts that he dealt with as far as traveling to and from games, but also hotels that we do on the road. A lot of people don't know, but we schedule those almost a year and a half in advance once we get the schedule, because we want to make sure that we have the 25, 30 rooms booked. Whenever we play, say we're in Lawrenceville, Georgia today. I think we booked that hotel room probably a year and a half ago to make sure. But it's different, without Dave there for sure. But we've all kind of picked up the slack in different areas, and like I said, the last couple of years, you kind of. He hadn't worked as much, but he still had his hands in a whole lot of stuff. And, we've all picked up the slack a little bit with his passing, but we certainly do miss him around the ballpark, that's for sure.
When you talk to the manager, is it more of the offense that needs to improve, the defense, or is it the errors or runs? Or is it the pitching?
It depends on which night it is.
Okay.
We've had some, it's weird. We've scored a lot of runs on the road, actually averaged more than two runs more per game on the road this year than we had at home. We've averaged like 5.5 on the road and 3.3 at home or something like that. So you'd think our road record would be great, but we haven't pitched on the road. I think our ERA in the road is almost near 6. So we're scoring a lot of runs and giving up a lot of runs on the road. And then at home, we're not scoring a lot, but we're pitching great. So if we could, get all that together and pitch well and hit well. Our defense has been pretty solid all year. And our bullpen's been great, but the pitching is definitely one thing that we need to kind of get a little more steady on. It's tough because the Orioles will take, any pitcher that's ready to go from us. We're used to that. We know that, but, you get a starting pitcher who's ready to go, and then the Orioles say, hey, we need someone because we played a 14-inning game last night, and they take our starting pitcher, and then we have to adapt and kind of fill that game. So sometimes that happens, but we played a lot better baseball lately and scored a lot more runs, and hopefully the pitching comes around and we can start winning a lot more ball games.
We're talking to Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides. I think he's on a cell phone or something, but it sounds kind of interesting. But anyway, Ian, plug all the social media, the big 3 months coming up, June, July, and August. Fireworks are always big, but plug all the social media because you stay connected 24/7.
Yeah, people can follow us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Norfolk Tides. We also have at Norfolk Tides, which is our Twitter feed. You can follow us on Snapchat. We've added a whole lot of new filters and things at Snapchat. So when you're at the ballpark, you can take some great pictures and add some filters there. And then we post video highlights of every game on our YouTube page after every home game. They're there, and Instagram as well. We post all sorts of fun pictures, and people tag us all the time in photos when they're out at the ballpark. So you can follow us all over the place. And then, of course, our website, NorfolkTides.com, has all our promotions. We can buy tickets. Anything you need to know about the team is up there all year round, 24/7.
All right, plug the ticket prices for individual games, including box seats.
Yeah,
how much are they?
It's $11 for box seats. You can buy, actually, in advance. They're cheaper if you buy them at the ballpark. There's a day game, I think, increase of about $1 or so. But if you buy in advance at the ballpark or online, you get a cheaper rate than you do on the day of game. So we encourage people to buy in advance, but you can get tickets for as cheap as $11, and then you can also get for groups of over 20 or more. You can book in advance and get a great discounted rate for big groups to bring up to the ballpark. We have the left field picnic area. We have the patio area in right field, which is great for catching home runs. We have patios. We have suites. We have all sorts of stuff to accommodate large groups as well. So anyone thinking of bringing a big group out there, we certainly appreciate it. And give us a call at 2222, and we can take care of any group, big or small.
How much are box seats for walk-ups?
Walk-ups, I believe it's $12 on day of game.
Okay, very good. Ian, all the best to you, my friend, and we look forward to talking to you next week. You'll be talking to Rick. I'll be back in 2 weeks.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Greg. Take care.
Thank you. All right, Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides, all brought to you by CP Shuckers with locations on Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue. People love their prime rib, seafood, and much more. Like both locations on Facebook and log on to cpshuckers.com. Eat or be eaten at CP Shuckers and watch all the NASCAR, Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA postseason, college sports, golf, the U.S. Open, soccer, tennis. It's all there. Great appetizers, burger, pasta, seafood. Go by and see Chef and Leon at Shore Drive. Get some bar bites. See Matt, Mark, Chris, and the whole gang at CP Shuckers, your summertime hangout right there for locals and tourists on Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue, serving up delicious food and beverages 7 days a week. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this.
You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Now, back to Greg.
All right, welcome back to Sports Scene, live right here on 1650 AM, 92.5 FM. TuneIn.com, type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer, all presented by Panera and PaneraBread.com. I want to thank Christian and the great staff over there as well. Panera is now the only nationwide chain that can say every item is 100% clean. Food as it should be. They deliver. They do catering as well. Have a rapid pickup option with great soups, sandwiches, salads, breakfast, beverages, bagels, smoothies. Excellent food. Open 7 days a week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and late night hours too. Panera really ahead of the chain there, always reinventing themselves, adding different types of items on the menu. PaneraBread.com. I know Joe Daniel cannot wait to sink his teeth into the salad. Is that correct, Joe Daniel?
Yes, it is, Greg.
Very good, my friend. All right, let's welcome a regular. We had him on a couple weeks in the studio. He'll come back in the studio in a few months as well. George McClain, the owner and general manager of the Marksman and Newport News. How are you, my friend?
Doing well, Greg. How are you today?
Very good. One question I want to ask you that we haven't talked about yet. Isn't it funny how you've always been involved in with the Marksman, but how hunting and fishing always seem to be locked in together? It seems like during the summer especially, you always hear about people talking about hunting and fishing when really they're totally two different sports.
Well, they really are. And I think most of the stores that specialize in the hunting and fishing both they combine them because number one it's the same license. You get a go get your hunting and fishing license. You can select on there what you want, but it's the same piece of paper really. And I think it diversifies their retail marketing end of it. So, the same kind of guy that has an interest in fishing typically will have an interest in hunting and vice versa. So it makes sense for them to do that. We don't specialize in one or the other. Our specialty is the firearms and the selling and the training of the individuals. So we don't even, veer into that area where they may decide to sell guns. They're probably not the experts in the guns, where we try to be the experts in that field.
Yeah, totally two different sports as we're talking about the Marksman right here, which is located, folks, at 520 Industrial Park Drive in Newport News. Go by and see George and the great staff open at his great location, Newport News, presented by the Criminal Justice Security Institute, the Marksman. And when you walk into the Marksman, there really is something for everyone to learn about gun safety, whether it's indoor shooting range, firearm sales, professional training. They're open 7 days a week. Excellent website. And really, there's really no bad time to learn about gun safety. And that's what you guys pretty much, your staff there is always helping people, young and old, learning about gun protocol.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, coming up Saturday on the 10th, where we're having you bring your daughter to the range day. And while you could do this every single day, it's just to draw some emphasis out there. Get some of the young gals involved in it. If dads or moms want to bring their daughter, we're going to have some NRA officials on staff, instructors on staff to do some training. So it could be a great experience for your daughter. And it's not that you can't do it any other day. We're just like, being a good father, and we celebrate Father's Day, this is, just to throw some focus on, spend some time with your daughter, bring her to the range. And again, we start all that with safety. That's where it's got to begin.
Can the people pick which instructor they want, George? How does that work?
Well, it really depends on the instructor's schedule. Yes, you can pick the instructor that you want. However, if that instructor is booked up for a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks, and you want that instructor, that's fine. You just have to wait until he has an opening to do that. Or if you don't mind who the instructor is, if you don't know him individually, we'll fit you up with who we think is going to best fit your personality and who's available, and go from there.
The phone number is 757-872-4130, open daily. They specialize in their great firearm sales, a shooting range, professional training, open 7 days a week at the Marksman as well, and of course have an excellent website. Talk about the Criminal Justice Security Institute. That's a nice brand to have with your name.
Well, that's the training side of the house. The parent company is American Millennium Group, and our retail and gun sale and range comes under the Marksman, and the DCJS, Department of Criminal Justice Services Certification Training Division is under what we call CJSI, or the Criminal Justice and Service Institute. And that's where we train security guards, bail bondsmen, private investigators, bounty hunters. So there's about 8 or 9 different classifications or certifications that we teach. So that all stays on the training side, but both sides actually come under the parent company. It just makes it easier to keep duties and everything separated, so the students they can call in and know their want an instructor for a particular class. So we have separate phone lines, but it all kind of rings into the same place anyway.
And talk about your ammunition as well.
Well, we carry everything. We can get pretty much anything you want, but we typically will carry from the 25, 32, 9mm, 40, 45. Those are the 357, 38, and 357 Magnum. Those are your major handgun calibers, and also 22 long rifle. But if there's some special something that you're looking for, we can typically find it. However, for certain times of the years, there seems to be kind of an ammo shortage that we've all come to expect. Yeah, so sometimes the 380 ammo may be a little bit hard to get. A lot of times the 22 is hard to get, and that's because they're using the production time on other calibers. They don't manufacture every caliber every day of the week. They'll run maybe a couple of months where, let's say for example, they're specializing in 9mm because that's a very popular round, and during that time they may not be making some other calibers that people may want. So they try to get the inventory levels up to what they would anticipate, but when it runs out, you won't see any more until that cycle in the calendar rolls back around where it's time to say manufacture 380 versus 9mm, even though there's not a lot of difference between the two.
George, how do the people in Virginia know exactly where to hunt and when exactly hunting season is?
Well, the best way to do that is to go online or to check with your local game official. They can give you all the rundown. Or some of the shops that will sell hunting fishing licenses, they have all that skill, everything every day throughout the year. But again, it's available online at the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, and they'll have all that info for you.
Well, George, have a good Father's Day weekend here in a few weeks, and we look forward to talking to you again next month and getting you back here in the studio in a couple months. Thanks for all that you do for the Marksman, your time, your talent, and your treasure, instructing the people about gun and gun safety, whether it's a bounty hunter, a police officer, a military person, or just the general public. Thanks for all that you do.
Thank you very much, Greg. I appreciate you having me on.
My pleasure. All right, George McClain, the owner and general manager of the Marksman, and Joe Daniel. Gun safety is very important, and you have to be vigilant. That's just the world we live in today.
Absolutely. That's the very first thing that you need to do. I would even say get gun safety before you even purchase the gun. really. Play around with the gun that you want to get, you're thinking about getting, whether it be 3 or 4. Then once you're comfortable with the gun, then purchase that gun.
Right, all presented by Outback Steakhouse at 1255 Fordham Drive in Kempsville. Go by and see Mike and the great staff. Take Dad to Father's Day. Rick, I hope the family's going to take you to Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville for Father's Day. You're well-deserved. Congratulations on your brand new granddaughter. Rick Keeper will talk more about that next week. Great appetizers, soups and salads, signature steaks, potatoes and sides, chicken, ribs, chops, and more straight from the sea. Like my dad used to always say, the biggest entertainment pleasure for the public is going out to dinner. They might not like the game, they might not like the movie, they might not like the show, but they have to eat. Great desserts as well, all at Outback Steakhouse, renovated menu, renovated restaurant, all 7 days a week, lunch and dinner, excellent desserts, late night. Go by and see Mike and the staff in Kempsville at 1255 Fordham Drive and give them a call at 523-4832, outback.com. Something for everyone. The best steakhouse, Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. What teased me off?
What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
When you're in the interstate, let's say in the middle lane, Joe Daniel, and everyone off the exit ramp is trying to get on the lane right in front of you or right next to you at the same time.
Exactly, yeah. No, people need to merge a little bit better as well.
Absolutely. When you have a conversation and the person you're talking to is not speaking clear, they're just mumbling for whatever reason and trying to understand them.
Yeah, mumbling. Never mumble.
Please don't
always
mumble.
Try to articulate yourself and use good diction. Enunciate your words. Mumbling is horrible because then that happened to me just the other day. Somebody said something and everybody else in the room got it wrong, and the guy got upset that everybody got it wrong. Well, you said it like 4 times, and I still have no idea what you're even saying.
Remember, James Brown, who worked for CBS now at Fox, would do mouth stretches. I learned that as well. Don't mumble on the phone or in person. Eating outside when you're out at a picnic or a park table and being invaded by gnats, mosquitoes, and flies.
Yeah, bugs are horrible. Yeah, flies especially, or when you're at a park and all these daddy long legs come from under the table to the surface. Yeah. That happened to me. My wife and I went hiking and we had a lunch at a
And you got to wonder
table.
how many restaurants actually wash the outside tables every night, too.
Right, yeah. Or the underside of a table. I think they just rub the top and that's it. Like, underside of the table, underside of the chairs, that needs to be cleaned.
Bugs are bad, mosquitoes are bad, bird droppings as well. Driving in the snow is one thing, Joe Daniel, but the rain we had lately, like the Monday flooding, I felt like was a Noah's Ark.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I like it because I'm just mowed my lawn, and nothing makes me happier than just mowing my lawn and then it rains, because then it's going to grow very well.
I was at a radio remote this past Friday, and the T-shirts were supposed to be for kids. As soon as you set them down, the adults start taking them. That was what teased me off. All right, and don't touch Joe Daniel's salad, anybody. He's saving that for his wife as well, right, Joe Daniel?
That's right.
All right, I want to thank our great guest today, Chuck Hall from Langley Speedway. He gave us the open book policy of what's happened at Langley the last 12 to 24 months. Norfolk Tide's Ian Locke, as well as George McClain from The Marksman. Rick Kiefner will fill in next week. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Don't forget to go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows at Greg Bick on Twitter. For Joe Daniel, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. Stay dry, and we'll talk to you soon.
AM 1650 WHKT Portsmouth, 92.5 FM W223CT Norfolk. For your daily supply of news and talk, we are the answer.